last recording that I did of this, and then I got too hot and stressed and like breathy. So anyways, I have like, did you hear that? Hello and welcome to the S's. I'm Savannah Slater Spargo, and today we're talking about the very strange search and now kind of solution of Hannah Kobayashi. And yes, spoiler alert, she's been found, but it's a very strange case. I don't love the way that it's being covered now because media has the propensity to take like any female that is kidnapped or disappeared or anything of that nature, and they associate it with like, they lump it into that Gone Girl thing, which is like the woman that like fakes her disappearance and also other things and does it very maliciously. And I don't think it's fair to put Hannah Kobayashi into that box, especially because like we just don't don't just assume that she, even if she voluntarily disappeared, which we will get into, you don't know, you just don't know. Okay, so let's get into it. Hannah Kobayashi, I counted, I have like 16 resources that I used for this video, and half of them said that Hannah is 30 and the other half said that she is 31, and I do not know. But she was living in Maui, Hawaii. She's a photographer, and she was also working at a smoke shop there in Maui. She was reported missing on November 12th, 2024, but it's really the lead up to her disappearance and then like now the subsequent solution that we have that's getting everybody's attention. So Hannah Kobayashi, her and her ex-boyfriend, this just like breaks my freaking heart. her ex-boyfriend, while they were together, plan a trip to New York, and then they break up, and the tickets are like probably non-refundable because that's expensive. So sounds like it just worked out better for them to keep the plane tickets, go on this trip, and just do things separately. So on November 8th, Hannah Kobayashi was traveling with her ex-boyfriend on the flight. I don't know if they had sat together, no idea, but they were traveling from Maui to New York, but they had a layover in LA. And actually, Hannah, by all accounts, was very excited about this trip. She was going to attend a concert, and then she was going to a festival where I think she was going to photograph the festival, so maybe that was a job. I've heard it reported a lot of different ways, but that's about it. So November 8th, they fly to LA, and they have their layover. Before we move on the flight from Maui to LA, there's an Argentinian man on that flight. Just a little nugget of information. Hold on to that. We will come back to it very briefly, but we will come back to it. So there's a connecting flight, I believe on the same day, November 8th, from LA to New York. The ex-boyfriend does get on that flight. Hannah Kobayashi's luggage gets on that flight, but Hannah Kobayashi does not get on that flight. She does not board that flight, and she texts, it sounds like, family and friends, and she was like, I missed that connecting flight, and then it sounds like she couldn't get a connecting flight. And I put that in quotes because the police speculate later that she missed her connecting flight on purpose, but then it was too expensive to rebook a flight, and that's just weird to me. It's like, okay, so she missed it on purpose and then immediately tried to rebook it. Although when I say that out loud, the only thing that comes to mind is like, what if her ex-boyfriend was being like a little bugger? on that flight, you know what I mean? And she was like, I will do anything to get away from you, but I don't know, goes somewhere for the night. I have no idea, but she leaves. And then she's seen on security footage like around LA. So I'm just gonna quote kind of like what she did. Quote, the family said they had seen security footage of Kobayashi leaving the airport on November 8th and then again at the Grove Shopping Center, which is in LA, on November 9th and November 10th, which is about 12 miles north of the airport. On November 11th, Kobayashi posted on her public Instagram account about attending a Nike event at the Grove, that shopping center. And was even spotted on a stranger's YouTube video, end quote. So, and then she returned to LAX on November 11th. She did not board a flight, and then that was the last time that anybody received. So I think they looked at cell phone records and they saw that that was the last time her phone was on and pinged a tower was at the airport. So I can break it down a little bit more and say on November 8th, she leaves the airport. Then November 9th, she's seen at a pretty high-end, famous shopping center, shopping mall called The Grove. And she's spotted on security footage at a bookstore. Later, they talk to the employees at the bookstore and they say everything seemed good with her, nothing out of the ordinary. The next day, November 10th, she actually returns to the Grove again. I have no idea if she checked into a hotel. Like I said, I have no idea. And remember, she has no luggage. So she goes to the Grove again, and this time she goes to a Nike event where she takes photos and she puts them on her Instagram. So November 11th is where things get kind of messy and reports start to vary, and that's true with all of this. Like, a lot of the reports, I was like, I don't even know if this is true, honestly. On this day, November 11th, Hannah's friends, maybe family, I believe her aunt at least, started receiving some strange text messages from Hannah, or at least text messages that were out of character for Hannah, saying that she did not feel safe, but then also using kind of like language that didn't sound like her, like babe and hun. She sent a message saying that she didn't feel safe and someone was trying to steal her identity and funds. So we have some of the text messages here. So, quote, deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all of my funds, and have had me on a mind F since Friday. Another message saying I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds. And then another message for someone I thought I loved. November 11th started this weird behavior and did pique the interest of the family, that they were like, this is kind of weird. And then around 3 p.m., Hannah goes back to LAX to presumably get her luggage, which probably just finally arrived from New York. She also attempts to rebook a flight to JFK Airport at this time, and it's probably still super expensive. Then at 4 p.m., her phone is turned off, and I heard this reported in only one, or I saw this reported in only one, but maybe she left her phone at the airport, but it has not been used. So they, I think, at some point got phone records. I think the family actually got her phone records, and it showed that it last pinged at LAX and then was turned off and never turned back on. That's at 4 p.m. At 9 p.m., she meets some random dude at a train station close by LAX or outside of LAX, I'm not sure, but I don't know if that means that she was waiting at LAX all that time or what was going on, but she meets this guy. She allegedly asks him how to get to Union Station, and he allegedly offers to take her there. She allegedly then spoke to him about her life, during which time she talked about going to New York and her plans there and missing her flight. This guy was later questioned by the police, and that's how we know this. She is then seen on surveillance footage exiting a train at Pico Metro Station. And there's a large arena there. And then, quote, according to police, Hannah made her way to Union Station, about 3 miles away from the arena, where she used her passport to purchase a bus ticket to a spot near the California-Mexico border. On November 12, police said she boarded a bus to San Isidro. The community has been dubbed the Gateway to the Americas, as it's the most southern city in California and a popular border crossing spot. End quote. So, I think they get to Union Station together. They are seen, I believe, together at the Pico station, and then they go to Union Station together. They have dinner, and then they in like a waiting area where you can wait even overnight, and a lot of people do this, like they end up falling asleep there. And so when the dude wakes up, according to him, on November 12th, Hannah is gone. And then we see her on surveillance footage at 6 a.m. on November 12th using her passport to buy a bus ticket to San Isidro port. Also on this day, I believe Hannah's family files a missing persons report either this day or the next day. But the family goes into action pretty much immediately because Hannah is acting weird, and then her phone is turned off. But then we know she takes a bus November 12th. She goes there to San Isidro port, and she takes like what I've heard it reported both ways, that she goes to Tijuana, or like she goes to San Diego, from San Diego to Tijuana. But I've also heard it like there's in that place there is a like tunnel that you can take that goes into Mexico. When it comes to her family, we have some key players here. We have her sister, her mother, her aunt, and her father. And so they all fly to LA on November 13th or November 12th. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's November 13th. And once they're there, they file a missing persons report. And then law enforcement, 2 days later on November 15th, they finally act. And they create a missing persons flyer. Allegedly, on November 15th, the family also starts a GoFundMe or some sort of online fundraiser platform of that nature to help fundraise like for the search of Hannah. And I assume part of that is like to financially help them while they're in LA because they live in Maui. So at some point around November 17th, the family and law enforcement have footage of Hannah and that random dude from November 11th. They get this footage, and there's a couple things to note. So I can't tell if the family gets the footage and then they give it to law enforcement or law enforcement releases it, but the family doesn't realize that at that time, so November 17th, November 18th, they don't realize that happened like days ago. That was on November 11th that she's seen with this guy. But the police or law enforcement look at the footage of her with this guy and they talk to him, but they look at all of the surveillance footage and they're like, well, like their body language looks fine. They don't look stressed. They're smiling at each other. Like their interactions look nice. They also talk to people that like they bought dinner from, and like the people that talk to Hannah, and all of them say like Hannah seemed normal when she was with this guy. They seemed normal. They seemed like they were having a good time. Like nothing stood out to anybody else. And then on the other hand, you have the family that comments on the security footage of her, which again, at the time they did not know that was like a few days before, but they were like, they said, quote, "It is evident that Hannah does not appear to be in good condition," end quote. So like they thought it was weird that she was with some random guy, which fair. But they were like, that's really out of character for her. And then they said that she didn't look normal to other people, like, she appeared to be cognizant and behaving normally. So on November 21st, the family holds a rally for Hannah, and I'm assuming to get media attention, but also they pass out flyers, and that's at Pico. Yep, Pico Metro Station. Her aunt and father speak at the rally, I think to media, and then to media on November 24th at 4 a.m. Oh, this is so sad. Again, November 12th. By November 12th, like, Hannah's in Mexico. So, like, 12 days later, November 24th at 4 a.m., her dad, Ryan Kobayashi, is identified by law enforcement as deceased in a parking structure near the LA airport. And then the medical examiner later ruled it like a suicide from multiple blunt force trauma. And when I first heard this, I was like, what? How do you? And I just thought he was like in a car and somehow had like unalived himself by like hitting himself. No, he jumped off of a third story like structure, and I don't know if it was like a catwalk or something like that, but he jumped and was found by law enforcement. So they reporting on that was very like, I think they were trying to be kind of like vague or something, but I was like, I am so confused. So that's what happens. Very sad and very strange, like, with the outcome of this. So I don't know. I don't know their relationship, and neither do you. So who are you to judge? Who knows? Hannah's aunt has become like the spokesperson at this point, and she like speaks after Hannah's father unalives himself, and then but she says like, please concentrate on finding Hannah because she's still not found. Also to note, another GoFundMe or like fundraiser on an online platform of that nature was started for Ryan Kobayashi's family, and they said both for the death cost but also to aid in the search for Hannah. So fast forward to a couple of days, aka 20 days, since Hannah Kobayashi went into Mexico. We're 20 days later, and this is when the LAPD figures out, like, let's go to the border and get footage of the border crossings and see if she, like, 20 days, you guys, come on. So December 1st, 20 days since she left, investigators traveled to U.S.-Mexico border to retrieve footage. P.S. Second, law enforcement release a statement and holds a press conference. Oh, I have a video that I'm going to play. Got it.
I wanted to provide you an update on the ongoing search for 30-year-old Hannah Kobayashi, who was reported missing last month. We reviewed video surveillance from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which clearly shows Kobayashi crossing the United States border on foot into Mexico. Kobayashi's case has been classified as a voluntary missing person. Our investigation corroborated by video evidence clearly shows Hannah at LAX appearing unharmed after arriving from Maui on November 8th of this year. LAPD Missing Persons Unit has conducted extensive witness interviews, reviewed video surveillance, and collaborated with local and federal law enforcement agencies on this case. To date, the investigation has not uncovered any evidence that Kobayashi is being trafficked or is the victim of foul play. She is also not a suspect in any criminal activity. Additionally, the investigators noted that before departing Maui, Kobayashi expressed the desire to step away from modern connectivity. Our priority is ensuring Ms. Kobayashi's safety and well-being, and we urge Ms. Kobayashi to contact her family, law enforcement, or personnel at the U.S. Embassy to let us know that she is safe. She has a right to her privacy, and we respect her choices, but we also understand that the concern her loved ones feel for her. A simple message could reassure those who care about her. While the LAPD investigation will not continue into Mexico, if anyone has credible information about Hannah's whereabouts, please contact local law enforcement. If Kobayashi returns to the United States, law enforcement will be notified.
And then, so they go up, December 2nd happens, and they put out a statement, and they have the footage of Hannah. Quote, the LAPD investigation will not continue into Mexico. However, if Kobayashi returns to the United States, law enforcement will be notified. She is encouraged to contact law enforcement or the U.S. Embassy in Mexico so officials can confirm her well-being. The missing person case will remain active in the Missing and Unidentified Persons System, MUPS, MUPS, until her safety is confirmed by law enforcement, end quote. So yeah, they are like, she is technically a missing person, but we think she's voluntary missing person, and because of that, we're not going to continue this investigation, especially because it's in Mexico. So, quote, on Tuesday, LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell announced that Kobayashi was classified as a, quote, voluntary missing person, end quote, after investigators uncovered a video of her walking into Mexico alone with her luggage from a San Diego border crossing 12 days before her father, Ryan, 53, apparently leapt to his death from a parking structure near the airport, end quote. I don't know why they have to say that. So yeah, the police announced that she is a voluntarily missing person, but say they have not made contact with her, and the family kind of sounds like they were blindsided by this and urge people to continue looking. On December 3rd, her family says they are hopeful and are continuing their search. December 4th, this is a little bit weird, I don't know. The FBI is allegedly brought in because Hannah's mom allegedly discovers marriage documents and like stuff of that nature, which may point to either a scam or a green card marriage. And remember how I told you about that Argentinian guy on the flight from Maui to LA, and then also like the weird text messages. So a photo of Hannah so the mom finds this documentation. She like goes and searches Hannah's house, and then a photo of Hannah getting married is circulated on Reddit and like given to Hannah's family. So a photo of Hannah in a wedding dress with a dude is circulating and reaches Hannah's family. They give it to police who involve the FBI because they found information on like immigration lawyers and green card or citizenship applications, stuff like that. And remember, FBI basically has to get involved because obviously you are trying to cheat the system. That's what a green card marriage is. But the family allegedly has acknowledged this, but I could see thinking like maybe he somehow forced her into Mexico, and they were kind of speculating on this before they found out that he or that she went by herself into Mexico. So they were kind of speculating that she's a victim of some sort of scam. On December 6th, Hannah's aunt very publicly distances herself from the mom and sister, saying, and this stuff, it just gets so messy. So the aunt of missing woman, quote, the aunt of missing woman, Hannah Kobayashi, announces she is parting ways with Kobayashi's mother and sister in her effort to locate her niece. Laurie Pigeon told News Nation that she made the decision to part ways with her sister and daughter and said she saw no need to use funds raised by the family on a lawyer instead of a private investigator. Pigeon also said she is not associated with her sister's GoFundMe account and never has been, end quote. But on December 11th, 2024, Hannah Kobayashi is reported as found, and I'm going to go out on a wild limb and say that the BA aunt was like, have fun handling the PR with your lawyer. I'm gonna go find your daughter, and went to Mexico and found her. And then Hannah was probably like, yeah, I don't really want to come back, sorry. And then Anna is like, okay, at least call and just say, like, I don't want to come back. It sounds like they finally talked to her on the phone. She has not spoken to police yet, but you're allowed to voluntarily disappear if that's what is going on. I'm glad that she has people that care about her, and I'm glad that, just don't judge. You don't know what's going on. Let's say something did happen and she got scammed, and maybe she was like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to Mexico. I'm leaving my debt behind. At least she didn't have like a wife and kids like that one dude. Okay, just remember, everybody, I'm not important and neither are you, so just try to be a decent person.